Hello, fellow film custodians. Welcome back to Rediscovering Classics. I, as always, am your host, Roger Dodger. And today we're going to be talking about a subject that is really, really important for those of us who collect physical media. And I'm hoping this is a great video to show somebody who maybe, asks, well, why do you have so many copies of XYZ? So I'm going to go through all the different reasons why we collect different copies of the same film. Starting, of course, with because we don't have a choice. So, my example for this is this lovely Scream Factory 4K edition of the John Carpenter film Prince of Darkness. So, this automatically comes with a 4K and a Blu-ray. Open her up, 4K, Blu-ray. Both of these are copies of the film. So at that point, there's really nothing I can do about it. I am now sitting here in possession of two copies of John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. And that's probably forgivable the most. Okay, well, you bought it that way. There's no other way you can buy it. The only other way you can buy it is as a Blu-ray DVD combo pack, and you end up in the same boat. But why don't we go a little deeper and look at some other examples? For instance, the studio who put out the movie forces you to own multiple copies of the same movie. Exhibit A on this one. Star Wars. We know it, we love it. This is the original trilogy on Blu-ray and DVD. So I already own two copies of the original trilogy. But Star Wars goes a little deeper. See, I picked this up many years ago. This was the only copy available for me to purchase. And these are the special edition Blu-ray releases that Lucas released at the time he released the complete saga box set before the Disney sequels we don't speak of. So after that, I obtained the original trilogy on DVD. Now these are the THX masterings, again of the special editions. These came out in 2007, 6, 7, somewhere in there. But these are special because these actually have the original theatrical presentations of the Star Wars films. So this is the bonus disc to the 2-disc set, and this is where you will find the original theatrical release of Empire Strikes Back, ripped from a Laserdisc copy, I do believe. And then on disc 1, you have the original special edition, which would have come out in 98, 99, I believe. Right before Phantom Menace. So that is the first instance of why house studios can sometimes force you to have multiple copies of the same film. Because since that DVD release, we haven't re-gotten the theatrical presentations of the Star Wars films. And before that DVD release, the last time we got the original theatrical presentations of the Star Wars original trilogy, it was back in 1997 as a VHS Laserdisc box set. You could get the VHS box set or the Laserdisc box set. These are known as the Faces trilogy. And that is the last time that the theatrical versions of Star Wars were released on home media. The second reason why studios can sometimes force you to get more is supplements. So my best example of a story of this is I picked up the Blu-ray of John Carpenter's The Thing, just the bare bones universal Blu-ray of John Carpenter's The Thing. And I noticed that on this Blu-ray, there were no supplementals. Well, the problem is I had already gotten rid of my DVD copy of The Thing. So I go, Shout Factory has one coming out. I go and I look at the supplementals of that. There's the supplemental on the DVD release, the collector's edition DVD release of John Carpenter's The Thing, that didn't appear anywhere else, except maybe the signature collection on Laserdisc. So, supplementals are also a huge thing. Take, for instance, this beautiful copy of Highlander. This is the Immortal Edition. It is a 2-disc set. And in it, this has this beautiful booklet with essays about the making of the film, how the music impacted the film, some nice poster art, just different little segments about the making of the film and the making of the soundtrack, different merchandise you could buy after buying this edition. And it also came with this lovely little sampler CD of 3 of the Queen songs that are featured on the soundtrack. Now, let's go ahead and compare that to the 4K edition that I have. So, this is just the film. It has a plethora of bonus features that weren't available on that DVD release. But it's missing the soundtrack and it's missing that wonderful booklet with all that information on it. So, and this, just to kind of show you a comparison, is not a bad set. So, you've got the 2 discs. This is your director's cut on 4K. And then over here is the Blu-ray director's cut. You got these beautiful printouts. And all in all, it's a great set. It's not inferior. It's not worse or better than the set we were just looking at. It's just the film has been upscaled and it just has, the other thing has things that this one doesn't have, and this has things the other one doesn't have. So supplementals is another huge reason for needing multiple copies of the same film, especially if you love the film and you want to learn more about the making of and you want to do some research on the making of the film. After that, we get down into different cuts of the film. And this is going to go kind of toe and toe with the next subject as well. But as far as cuts of the film go, both of those editions of Highlander we just looked at, they're both director's cuts. So, of course, I also have Highlander on Laserdisc, where it's the theatrical cut of the film. Because sometimes those are great to compare and great to look at side by side, and in order to understand the history of the film and follow it through its entire process, you like things like that. So, for instance, I have this beautiful 25th anniversary of Beauty and the Beast. But since that is my favorite animated Disney movie, I saw this come up in a Laserdisc auction for super cheap. And this is the work in progress version of Beauty and the Beast. So again, it's just another piece of the history, another piece of media. But now I own multiple copies of the film Beauty and the Beast. The next thing I'd like to talk about is how some studios are handling the restoration processes when it comes to upscaling something to 4K. For instance, the Universal Classic monster movies, Dracula, The Mummy, The Invisible Man, and so on, they the 4Ks of them, they have them lit wrong, and the shadows are wrong, and the lighting's wrong. It just all kind of feels over processed and over digitized in a way. So I'm happy with VHS or DVD, or even the Blu rays are okay. But that's another reason why it necessitates you to have different versions of the same thing. Because you never know when a studio is going to overprocess or overhandle the film at which they are remastering. So, a great example of that is this 4K of Casablanca, which is a classic film, definitely on my top 10 list. And again, it's a beautiful set, and there's nothing wrong with the packaging, but it's the presentation. Some parts of it I don't know what exactly, but something about the 4K restoration of this film just feels a little off. And it could be me. It could be that I'm so used to watching the Blu-ray, or perhaps the VHS tape, or perhaps the other VHS tape. The point is this soundtrack and video are different than this soundtrack and video. Because this was properly restored and there was a lot of time and care put into this edition of Casablanca and everything was nicely restored. Whereas these just took what was on the tape or the DVD version of the tape and they just kind of messed with it, but they overprocessed it. And through time, you end up with this. Now, I can live with it, but it isn't perfect. And so that is another reason why we collect different copies of the same film. Now, now we get into the last kind of section of why we do this and why we feel the need to collect different copies of the same film. And that is, of course, choice. It's completely by choice. For instance, this is a Twilight, or not Twilight Zone, the other one, the other white meat. This is The Outer Limits. This is 2 episodes of The Outer Limits. Looks like this one is Moonstone and the Mutant. And this is a beautiful tape. It's very sturdy. It doesn't come out. You have to like open it up and pull the tape out. It's very well constructed. I have recently been thinking about picking up the Blu-ray DVDs from Kino Lorber of the Outer Limits. I've heard they're beautiful transfers, and I've been excited to kind of pick them up and check them out. Even if I did that, I would never get rid of my Outer Limit tapes because I have the complete series on VHS tape, and it took me time to find, and the satisfaction when I'd found them all was just so much more than, oh, look what I found. So, for that reason, that is my choice to just not let them go, to just hang on to them. And another personal example, this is the 1999 cinematic masterpiece, The Mummy. This is my number one favorite movie of all time. And these are my different editions of The Mummy. So, let's just do a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus digital is 8. That's 8 copies of the 1999 cinematic masterpiece, The Mummy. Why do I have this many copies? Because it's my favorite movie of all time. And all of these are different. And I love every single one of them. I couldn't part with a single one. Whether I want to go nostalgic and watch the VHS tape or check out the 4K. I know that this is my favorite movie ever, and so to me, these are all precious and great in their own individual way. I mean, you open up this one, this is the Ultimate Edition that came out before the Mummy Returns, and it actually features like a couple bonus materials that are on the Mummy Returns that never got ported over anywhere else, including highlights on the Mummy Return and something else that was on here that didn't ever get ported over to any other release. And the same thing can be said for the Mummy Returns because I still have the DVD copy of that because it's got a preview of the Universal ride, the Universal Mummy ride. And that is the only real way you can see that on home video. And it is so cool and interesting to look at. Then you run into instances like this one. So this is my Japanese Ben-Hur. We've seen it on the channel before. And this is the picture on it's great. Like it's a little compressed, but overall it's great. It is a gatefold. It is just a fantastic edition of this film. But it has got absolutely nothing on the 35th anniversary Laserdisc box set. And why? Because this has got those lovely supplementals we were just discussing. There are 5 discs in this thing. So the first 8 sides take up the movie, with the final side being the making of Ben-Hur. So if I'm just wanting to pop in Ben-Hur and have it on in the background or just kind of watch it lackadaisically. I'm going with this. I'm only flipping twice, moving on with my life. But if I want to experience Ben-Hur, I'm going with this. Less compressed, better picture. It's amazing. But again, that is a choice. That is a choice that I am making because I love the film Ben-Hur. War of the Worlds. Sometimes, again, I just want that nostalgic VHS look. And is the video not great? Yeah. Is it a pan and scan? 100%. But sometimes you want the grain and the fuzz and the VHS quality. And if you don't, you pick up the lovely Criterion Collection. Same film, but presented nicely. Criterion does a great job with all their stuff. And just a wonderful presentation of the film. So, hopefully, this has been kind of eye opening to some of you who maybe don't understand or who have loved ones that are like, you've got a lot of copies of XYZ. And hopefully, this can also help generate conversation about different editions of things and different supplementals of things and different transfers, audio and video wise, of different things. And huge shout out to Sith Lord Vader for validating this idea that I had a couple days ago, and he mentioned something about having 6 copies of the Dr. No Laserdisc, and so I just kind of wanted to hop on and just explain why, from my point of view, we collect different copies of different things, or different copies of the same film. So, until next time, remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell because, as we classic film fans know, every time the bell rings, an angel gets its wings and rediscover something classic. This is Roger Dodger, signing off.